Lee, what's your thoughts after that strong second half showing? Bradford maintaining that kind of winning run, 5 from 5 now.
Yeah, really happy with the win. Where we were sat just after half time, obviously it looks a difficult position. We were a bit shell shocked at half time, to be fair, because they sort of hit us with three punches just in a row, and I wouldn't say it came out of nowhere, but there weren't many other opportunities I can remember where we looked troubled. So we were a little bit shell shocked, everyone wondering how they'd done that and how they got the scoreline to where it was. And then obviously what happens after half time, is a big impact, because I don't know how long the delay was, but it felt like a long time. So everyone's sort of fresh again and you're having to go again. We go down to 12 and not long after we go behind by 12 as well. So really happy with what we've done defensively second half, but then we found opportunities to score and maybe could have scored a couple more as well.
On that period leading up to half time, Lee, it certainly looked like you had the momentum on your side, and then things just suddenly, like you say, 3 quick fire tries, quick punches. I think it was 18 points in 8 minutes.
Yeah, it can happen, and every single team's got a lot of quality players, so it doesn't take much for you to get wrong to have a momentum swing like we've dropped the kick-off, I think, can we, right from the start, and then we've defended actually really well, but they've kicked a nice little ball into the in-goal, so before you know it we've had to defend a few minutes before we even touch the ball. So I think things can happen because there's quality players in the other teams that you're playing every single week. You're right, we were well on top, we were 8-0 up, we were defending really solidly well, and then just a couple of lapses where there were 2 6-agains in a row, put them on our line. One nicely executed play where we've got it slightly wrong and Wellham goes straight through the hole. But they scored right from the next set, which were disappointing obviously, rather than getting back to what we were doing. So there's some things to look at and obviously make sure we're not conceding those tries again. But to be fair, they fixed it up at half time and they spoke about it. We don't want people coming through our defensive line. It happened certainly last week as well, for one. So we did tidy that up, and I can't remember many opportunities, if any, that they posed us in the second half, to be honest. I thought we defended really well.
What was the message, the communication at half time? Was it a focus on being in control, be disciplined, show that composure, stick to the game plan?
Yeah, no panic again. It was very similar to 3 weeks ago when we were sat there and we were a couple of points behind. Knowing that we could turn it around, we know we're a fit bunch that can keep going as well, and we don't mind turning scoreboards around. We probably just needed to get a bit more ruck speed when we had the ball. We were probably lying there and then with the fans behind us maybe moaning for a 6-again or a penalty, thinking we were just going to get one. It doesn't work like that. You've got to run a bit harder and really fight on the floor. So I thought we did that again second half, which gave us a bit more ruck speed, and then we've got good players as well, so we can pick them off if there's opportunity to present themselves when it gets a bit quick. So we did that. There were no dramas, no panic. It would have looked like that maybe when, like I say, you're down to 12 and 12 points behind, but we knew we'd get chances, and we did.
And when you speak about playing into the opposition's hands, 15 seconds into the second half, Elliot has gone high on Massimo Tongo. There's obviously that delay. He then goes for
yeah, that's not. I think the referee initially gave a ball steal. It was a head clash. So it's completely accidental in terms of what happened. There were no ball steal, but obviously Massimo Tongo sparked out, so I understand why it's given. That's the way the game is. You saw one last night. I didn't agree with anything around the head, accidental, whatever part of body or is. That's what they're giving. So no, it wasn't a lack of discipline, that one. Just a head clash. Elliot's done nothing wrong there. I don't know where he can go, but I understand. I understand the decision, and that's what it was. So we did well with 12 men, we dealt with it. We lost Sam for head injury assessment, who came back on, so we just had to deal with it a little bit, but I don't think it's discipline where there might have been a couple of ball steals that I'm more annoyed with. That certainly wasn't one right after half time.
But how important was it, Lee, Corey Aston nudges Sheffield 12 in front, whilst you're still down to 12 men, you see that response, that fight back, and from that moment, with Jordan Lilly's well-worked try, that momentum and ascendancy was firmly in the Bradford sails.
That's it. Obviously I don't know what it looks like to a supporter looking at it, and you can think, oh, we've we've conceded a few tries in a row, then we've gone 12 men, and then maybe thinking it's going to be one of those again. But I didn't ever feel like we were going to lose it, if I'm being honest. I know it looked a tricky situation, but I knew if we defended solidly, I knew we'd get opportunities against them. Whether that came from us deep in our half or when we got near that line, and it proved so. And they've done really well to hold us up on a few occasions, to be fair. And then maybe a couple of other chances that we had. So we potentially, when we look back, there's actually some points we've left out there. But I can't think of many more opportunities that they had other than the 3 tries they scored. So disappointed to concede 18, 20 points, but more than happy that we had enough in there to score 32 plus.
We've mentioned Sheffield scoring 3 tries in 8 minutes. I think Bradford scored 16 points in the same sort of time, and that really did, like you say, Lee, it give you that, it blew the game out. Sheffield just didn't look like they had a response.
No, again, you're looking at Scoreboard and thinking this is still nip and tuck, because I think we were 4-6 in front for quite a while, weren't we? And it looked like next score was going to be really, really vital. But again, because we were defensively solid, I never felt threatened, even though the Scoreboard looks a bit nervy. So it's the defence. I know conceding 20 points is not great, but it's the defence that's won us it, because I always knew we were gonna post some points and get opportunities.
Is that something you have spoken about, you and Brian and Keith? Because prior to this game, Lee, it actually come in handy today. I worked out that first half here at Odsall, Bradford are scoring an average 9 points in the first half, but in the second half it's up to 22 points. And I kind of look at this game today, and the averages have kind of mirrored what's happened here. So you always kind of, is that something you were aware of?
It's the plan. It's the part of the plan. We like to score 8 or 9 points first half, and then make sure we score 20 odd in second. Seems to be working quite well. No, I think the opposition obviously tires. We like to think that we've got a 17 and not a 13. Some people, and this goes across the game, some people will start with their absolute strongest 13, and then maybe have younger players or people that just come on to give those a rest. Whereas we have contributors from 1 to 17, and you saw that today. Looking around the changing room, there'd have been no excuses whatsoever about a loss or a bad performance. That's a quality set of 17 players that we had in there who'd, bar Luke Cooley holding a pre-season with us, knew what the roles were, knew what we needed to be doing, and once we tidied up the couple of areas defensively on that left, we looked in control, and we always know we're gonna create opportunities, like I say, whether that's coming out of his own half or getting towards their end, and that's what happened.
In that second half, I think it was Zach Fulton who made a try-saving tackle on Morgan Smith, losing the ball 2 metres from the Bradford line. Obviously, we've got the benefit of a replay, but when you see the effort from Zach in there, that shows you that they're playing for the shirt, playing for the brand, playing for you and Brian.
No, he's playing for each other. That's what it is. Everything's contagious. If a couple of your players have got their heads down, it's quite easy to follow that. Whereas if you're looking around and you've got Sam Hollis with blood pouring out of his head, sprinting around like a madman, doing what he does. Even Elliot just coming on there late from 18th man, putting himself about. I thought Bailey Liu contributed really well coming off the bench. Like, you can look across and everyone's putting efforts in. Wonga Blake, for a person that's played top level over in Oz and over here, he's putting the right shift in every week, and he could be excused not to, because he's obviously dropped down a level here, but we've just got that going across the team. So it's the players, and it's contagious when you look at other people putting the effort in. You want to be part of that. You don't want to be the guy that lets your teammates down. So they're doing it for each other as opposed to anyone else.
What happened with Michael Lawrence? We got the team news at 2 o'clock. He was down to start with Ron and Michael. He didn't play at all, and Elliot Paposhi, I presume, was activated as 18th man. Michael was struggling a little bit with his groin this week from last week's game. He didn't come back on last week, I don't think. So he'd been struggling a little bit, but got through training Wednesday and Friday. So we were always going to go for it in warm-up. He just felt it just doing on one of the last couple of drills that they were doing. So the risk was you start him, and within the first tackle he's got to come off or tears it, makes it worse. Or
just made the call, and Elliot were ready to step in, which set off a domino effect of Cam Bate, who was in the 21 for the first time, played on Friday night in a pretty grim defeat for them. Gets the message to come in and just be part of the wall, 19th man. All of a sudden, his 18th. I suppose luckily he didn't come on because his family didn't come over, because they just thought, well, his 19th, there's no chance. I don't think they even came. So I'm sort of in a way glad he didn't come on, so his family didn't miss him coming on. But no, that's where we're at, and that's what you have a squad for. Like I say, Elliot's been disappointed not to be given more opportunities, so it's come. He's got his opportunity there, and I thought he took it.
James Donaldson was one of the 4 changes. What's his absence? How's his absence explained?
Yeah, he got a bang. He's been having a bit of a chest issue for a few weeks, but he's been managing with it. He took a knock direct to it last Friday, which meant he hasn't trained this week. So we're hoping with a game off and a week off, he might be all right for next week, but we'll just have to see.
When we spoke to Brian on Wednesday, he said Franklin Pellier and Sker likely missing weeks with calf injuries. Do you have an update on those injuries at all, Lee? No, they're in early stages, so they'll be a while, both of those. So we'll obviously do what's right with them. They'll do the work behind the scenes with the physios, S&Cs, and be integrated back into training as and when. But we've built a squad for a reason this year. I've been sat here, this is the 3rd season I've been here. In the first 2 years we haven't had a squad deep enough, so we've had to bring in loans and dual edge players quite early in the season, and it just makes it so disjointed, really hard at training. Whereas even this week we were down on numbers, but everyone's sort of been there from day one of pre-season bar Luke Cooley, so it helps. You've mentioned the togetherness there. It helps having your own players, and that's what we've done. And when someone misses, it's sort of an opportunity for somebody else, and I think everyone that came in today has took that. So that's good, because that backs up what we've done in terms of building a squad. It's not just a case of having numbers there, we've actually built a squad, and the people that have come in there have put their hand right up. So even if those players were available next week, that would be a tough decision for us, wouldn't it, to change stuff. So no, I'm more than pleased for those guys, but it's not a surprise either that they've played well and performed, because they're good players. You look at those players that have been waiting patiently, Nathan, Mason, Elliot, Paposhi, obviously Tyra not had the fractured cheekbone, so he's been injured during that period. But I spoke to Nathan Mason Wednesday, and he spoke about the importance of remaining positive for his own mental health, because he felt his performance, Sheffield in the 1895 Cup League, probably put him in the shop window for that game against Halifax, but he had to miss Halifax and Oldham, and here he is today, called upon because of those injury and that adversity with Sker and Pellier and Michael Lawrence missing, and here he's putting in a shift in and ultimately coming up with the game-winning try.
Yeah, no, it's obviously it's good when that sort of happens. It is hard. Every player's been there in their career pretty much. I've been there myself. You've got to be patient and then weigh up what you want to do going forward. Do you want to kick stones around, kick around, sulking? Do you want to go out on loan? Do you want to leave, which you see a lot of players do, moving around as soon as they don't play a couple of games? Or do you want to stay in the mix, remain positive, keep training hard, ready for that next opportunity whenever it comes, and then you try to take it? And that's, I think, what everybody's done. You've seen we've moved a couple of people out on short-term loans just to keep them fit and active and healthy. But what's really good is no one has sulked. There's obviously difficult conversations you have to have with people when they're not playing. But it's been about them wanting to play for Bradford, which has been the good thing. They've wanted to get into this team. It's not just about, right, I'm leaving because I want to go play anywhere. This is about they want to get into this team. So whenever anyone's gone on loan, it's been about working on things they need to work on, remaining sharp, getting game fitness to get back in this team. And that's worked for the people that have come in. Elliot's had a couple of games at Batley. Also was injured for a couple of weeks and then stepped in here. Logan Bayliss had a run out for Batley a couple of weeks ago. Great for him, he played quite a long time there. Unfortunately for Emmanuel Wane, we obviously before last week we were more than plenty of cover numbers wise. We sent him out on a 2-week loan, and obviously he'd have been probably in the mixer this week. But he's managed to get two games in now, so he'll be match sharp and fit as well. So Yeah, I understand it's difficult for people not being in the team, but that's because they want to be a part of it, and that's good.
Just finally from me, Lee, Brian Noble's not been here today for personal reasons. How sort of early or late in the day, what was that for you and Keith to effectively take charge and take the reins for this game?
No, it's fine. Nothing changes too much. We could, we've obviously got a few others around with Chris Off, Keith, myself, and Brian. So to be honest, if any one of us misses it, your work's done during the week, and a lot of it is done in pre-season anyway. So then there's a lot of working towards that particular game each week. But there's a couple of messages you give. You obviously run the substitutions, but a lot of it's down to the players on game day because you've sort of put the plan in place, and then a lot of it's just reactive. So nothing to change too much. I'm sure I'd have had something to say at half time potentially, but that's just how it works. It's a bit like the players, and if someone's missing, next guy steps up, and that's just what we've done today.
Is he expected to be back next week, Brian?
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Sort of knew we weren't going to be here probably beginning of early in the week, so it's fine. I mean, if any of us has to miss, it's the same as in any workplace. You've got people that can step in, and if something went horribly wrong because one person's missing, you probably haven't got the right culture in place and the right organisation, have you? So yeah, we're all fine.
Lee, you mentioned the 17, you feel like it's really strong. You've not just got your strongest 13 and 4 sort of guys that are sort of second best. Does it mean then that if there is a game that is going wrong in past, like the Sheffield game was sort of at half time, early second half, you always feel like you've got that capability of getting back into it, and everyone's like, oh god, it's not our day. They always can because you've got such a strong 17.
Yeah, and obviously decisions while the game's going on is who you leave on, who you take off, who you think can impact this game now, who can shore us up defensively. But because of the strength of whenever you're looking down and there's 4 players there, whatever you need in that particular scenario, you generally think you've got that. Whether that's someone like Natty Mason who can come on and break a tackle and barge over for a try, which he did. I think he made a break as soon as he came back on, second stint. Elliot to give us a bit of energy, Sam to shore us up defensively and energy-wise. Mitch to come back on and add his energy and defensive steel. It was all there, and it was a total 17-man effort. I don't think you can pick anyone out really individually from that.
You mentioned Nathan there. For him and Logan, obviously, he definitely didn't want to be losing Pellet and Sco, of course not. But is this for them two now a massive chance? You are short a bit of prop now from what you'd want, but for them two, they're not going to need God long. They could become a very, very integral part of the first 17 for the next few weeks at the very least.
Well, they've been an integral part anyway right from the start. If you look at the friendly sort of efforts, certainly like Huddersfield away, we purposely gave everybody a run out, and I think everyone got like 30 minutes each, like bang on, and everyone contributed right throughout the game. We obviously have to narrow that down to 17 for game days and pick what we think's right to win that particular game each week. Obviously your decisions are limited a little bit when you've got so many players out, when you're down to your last sort of 18 available. So it's an opportunity for them to string some games together. They've had an opportunity right from day one of pre-season to force the way into 17, and everyone has the opportunity every single training session to get into the team. And when some of these guys go out on loan, that's also another opportunity to play really well in Championship. We watch those games closely to see what they're looking like, and that's worked for Logan. I think we've managed to not be able to give him the game time over the last month or so, but then he's put a really good performance in for Batley a couple of weeks ago, and then kept training really well. So he's taken that chance that he's got today. Nathan Mason, we've already said it, they were probably a bit unlucky to lose his spot following the Sheffield performance he gave 3 weeks ago, so it was no surprise then that he performed well today. So we'll just have to see in terms of availability on players and things like that, but they've been an integral part right from the start, and nothing they've done today is a surprise for us.
And obviously Elliot's gone out on loan like Logan, obviously. Well, he yellow card really unlucky, and obviously as in general I'm pleased with his performance, particularly because I guess it can't be that easy being the 18th man and you're almost thinking you're not going to play, then all of a sudden you're playing a massive role in the game. How did he show up today?
Well, they did really well. It's probably a bit different now. When you were 18th man, you used to help with massages back in changing room and that, and you were never ever going to play. It just never happened. but nowadays 18th man's activated quite a bit more, so you almost expect, half expecting to get a run out at some point with head injury assessments and things like that. I think, did they use theirs today? I can't remember. But it happens a lot more often now, so you're sort of preparing to play anyway. So he were good to go, and he were buzzing as soon as he got the call. Not great, obviously, having to lose a player from your 17, but an opportunity for Logan to then start and for Elliot to come in onto the bench, and they've just taken their opportunity, so it's good.
You mentioned Nath there, obviously being a bit of lucky losing spot after the Sheffield Cup game. Obviously Bailey might maybe feel a bit lucky losing spot after playing really well against Oldham and Fax. Was it difficult to see? Obviously Gilly is such a key player, has been for a long time at Bulls. Was it always kind of going to come back as soon as he's fit, or is it really something you have to really weigh up whether do we keep Bailey going after 2 good wins, or is it time to get Gilly back in the fold?
No, I think you've also got to look at the balance of your team as well. So we were down on bodies quite a bit this week. So to have Kieran Gill on the bench, who will probably cover centre, potentially wing, it wouldn't have made much sense. Bailey has done a good job in the centre, but I think he's more natural in the back row as well. So that was part of his plan anyway, that Bailey came on in the back row, and then Matt G's equally as good, back row and in the middle as well. And that worked. I thought that was probably his best game actually. I know he's been part of 2 really good wins. Not Oldham and Halifax, but there's been bits where you can quite tell the probably back row is his position more than centre. So we've got to look at that and the balance. And like I say, it worked. That was part of the plan anyway. The Bailey came on in back row. Like I say, he's another one that's taken another opportunity there to keep his spot in the 17.
Just final for me, Lee. Obviously, they seem to really be targeting Jaden with the kick, so especially after the kick-off was dropped. Obviously, we saw that against Barrow as well. Is that something that you continue to work with Jaden? Jaden's obviously very skilled player, got a lot of very good qualities, but obviously it seems that might be a tactic teams using you confident you can get Jaden, so it's a case of that's not going to be any sort of issue for you guys.
I won't want to be standing under some of them, and I used to play. No, it's not the targeting him, it's just where he's stood. And he's there. Those Aston kickoffs are going to that side every time, so whoever was stood there, they were under that. And they were hard. They were hard, some of them. They're moving in the air, you don't know where you are, you lose your bearings a little bit and you've got to catch it. And a lot of the time you're near the sideline, you're near the in goal. Yeah, it's a grim job.
He is very good in the air though, isn't he?
He's great obviously under the high ball, but some of those are so tricky. They're not just normal kicks that just come at you. He catches all those. But I think you could have put anybody out there and they'd struggle to catch all of them. I think he obviously messed up the first one, which should be disappointed with, just because he wants to catch every single ball. But out of however many kickoffs that Sheffield have done now in 3 weeks here, he's dropped 2 of them, I think. So it's not that bad of a ratio.
It's not. Cheers, like.